Alright guys, we have a 1985 Honda TRX250 and it's got slop in the steering. Let me show you what I think it's coming from. Right there is the bottom of the steering column. If I wiggle the steering wheels for you, it seems to me like there's play in there. The 1986 and newer show a traditional bearing in there. This 1985, the drawings I can find online, I don't know if it shows like a cone and cup bearing, but you can buy the balls for it. I'm hoping we can get this all out and find a bearing that would fit both those outside and inside dimensions. So let's get to work pulling it out. Okay, I think we should start at the bottom and work our way up, and that starts with taking these, what do you call those things? Tie rods. They got a cotter pin in them. What size do you think those are? 12 millimeter? They are 17. Oh. Those are just spinning, aren't they? Try an impact. Yeah, with those off now, I can feel the play in that. So I think we're heading in the right direction. Alright, so moving further up the steering column, we ultimately want to get to that castle nut there, so we got to take off the handlebars to get to that guy. And I think we got to get this dash off. I don't think it just pops off, it is attached. Let's see if this comes off. We got some JIS bolts. I'm thinking this, yep, there it goes, that whole dash will come out, which we don't have to disconnect any of these wires to the ignition switch or anything, we just want to get it out of the way. But we will take all this hardware with it so it doesn't disappear. And that's what we were after, is these. That'll allow us to take the handlebars off. Okay, again, we don't have to detach everything from the handlebars. We just want to be able to swing it out of the way, which we leave them forward like that. Right gives us perfect access to that castle nut. And really, if there's nothing else holding onto that steering column, that should slide right out the bottom. So let's get that cotter pin out. Don't mind the screaming in the background. It's either a goat or the children playing. Oh, come on. Come on, forget it. There you go. What size do you think that is? Biggin? Well, if you guessed 24 millimeter, you are correct. Guess what? Oh, no, it's not. I thought it was spinning on us, but it's not. Look at that castle nut. Looks like there's a washer there too, but... Okay, so looking at the parts diagram, actually, I can see there is threads on there. That tooth part is what your carriage rides on. So that does have to pop off of there. And it looks like there is a locking nut on top as well. So deeper we go. Alright, so I finagled up a puller here. And if I can get one in the front and one in the back. I'll do that without pinching any cords, any wires. There. There's that little thrust washer that we were talking about. Can I get all this off to the side? Yeah. Nice. That wasn't too bad. I probably didn't even need the pullers for that. Alright, now this. Is that turning? Oh yeah, that's turning off. Note to self, none of that was on very tightly. Probably because that bottom, oh, and there goes the steering column. That just dropped down in there. Let's see if it's catching on to that. Yeah.
Daddy?
Yes, baby.
What's this swervy thing right here?
That's your gas tank. We might have to jack up the front of this.
Hey.
Oh yeah, there's some balls. Oh, and there they all go. There There's all the balls.
I'll get them.
I see them too.
Goodness, they look like babies.
Yeah, can you pick them all up?
Sure.
I
Well, we didn't lose any balls. Well, we lifted up this cup and we got them out. So there they is. I'm wondering if that looseness in the steering column, well, I mean, the grease is gone. I think the best thing to do is just pull that column all the way out and inspect those races to see if those are worn. Here's the top as well, so all those balls as well. And when I pulled this cup, I kept a couple of balls that stuck to it. So, yeah, let's jack up the quad and get that shaft out and inspect it. Will this get it high enough, or will we have to? We'll have to get some wood. Come on. So close. So close. Oh, careful, you down because of the shaft. Now I got it. I'll check. Ta-da! Put this down, Max, so no one gets killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's our shaft on the bench. They're wearing these cups. This one doesn't look bad in there.
Yeah, how do you fix this back on? How?
I mean, we can see the grease caked on there. Curious if we just look all this up, if these are still available, and just replace all of this so we know. I mean, these races and these balls cannot be that expensive. I wonder if that's the route we do. Let's look them up and see what we got. So I guess before I go look for parts online, I should grab these balls. Grab these balls out of here. Because there's little children in the shop, and if those suckers get rolled away, we're gonna be in a hurry. So I got a greasy.
Daddy,
Yeah, bud.
can I tell you how we find it?
Alright, so I'm using a grease
In the fridge.
on a flathead.
How do you find it doing
I'm trying
that?
to grab these out.
Why are you doing that stuff?
Okay, so got the old ball bearings. Got some new ones here. thinking, so these are supposed to be, the internet calls these out as 5 30 seconds. So I'm thinking let's clean these up and get some measurements off of them. And then see if they are worn.
Is that your measuring tool that you bought?
Yep, it's my calipers. So real quick, what's 5 30 seconds? 5 divided by 30 seconds. It is 0.156. See what these come out to. 0.153. 0.152. Let's measure another one. 0.152. I wonder, because I find it hard to believe that a Honda machine from 1985 uses uses the imperial system. What does 530? What does 4mm comes out to? 0.157 is what 4mm come out to. So, according to that, we're off by almost 5 thou. So if you're thinking about 5 thou, when you got a row of bearings around there, there's enough slop there to be 10 thou because there's a ring around it, right? Doesn't that make sense in my head? So, what are these bad boys? Let's put these back so we don't get them mixed up. What do these come out to? 155. So these must be our 5 30 seconds. 155. Alright, so these are going to be the ones that we want. Got the right bag the first time. I got this cheap set from Amazon. I'm sure I'll never use the rest of them. I'm sure Everett, you'll play with them and probably lose them.
And probably Izzy will eat them.
And probably be eaten, maybe. Have to keep an eye on. Okay, let's go load this back up. Okay, before we grease this back up and load it in there, let's clean up some of this old crusty grease. I just have a soft nylon brush that's not going to scratch anything. Everett, could you bring me some paper towel, please?
Yeah.
Alright, I got those relatively cleaned up. Let's get a go of grease. How do we want to do this? Let's get some grease on the race. And then we can go about placing them on there and then putting our cup on top. I counted 28 ball bearings for the top and the bottom. And we'll place them in there until we run out of room and see how many that is. I doubt that we lost any, because if we got 28 for top and bottom, we'll see what we come out to. There she is with all the bearings stuck on with grease. I'm just going to take a little grease, put it inside the race, or I say race, it's probably called a cup. I'm sure the internet will tell me what it's properly called. So let's slide down this race and get that all captured in there. Just like that. Now we're ready to jack up the quad again and start reassembling this thing. I guess before we race into shoving that steering shaft back in, it would behoove us to clean up the top bearing, so that's all ready to go. Get some fresh grease on that, and then probably clean up that collar back on the quad and put bearings in there. Here's the cup that's back on the quad. This is relatively clean. I think we can put new grease in there and stack that full of ball bearings as well. So when we jack up the quad and put the steering shaft, then we can just slap down the top race and the bolt, and we're ready to tighten it right up. My theory is more grease, more chance of it holding on to those balls better, right? Is it? Are you smelling what I'm stepping in? You guys ever see the show The Assembler with James May? I think it was on Netflix. Now this might be a long time ago, but it was called The Assembler. And what they would do is they'd take something mechanical apart, and then James May, you would know him from Top Gear, he would put it back together. And part of that show was an old school mini bike. And I remember on that mini bike, it had a steering column just like this. And James May would count out all his balls and put them in the grease. I remember seeing that thinking, man, that'd be really cool to do that. And now, look at me now, James May. I didn't think I'd be working on stuff this old that I'd be doing this with. With this top cup, this will be easier to count how many balls we're fitting in there. Remember, we had 28 originally. Because these are a little bigger, are we going to fit less, or were all those original bearings worn out so much? Anyone knows the original number? On the website, they want you to order 60 of them, which to me would mean 30 for the top and 30 for the bottom. So let's fill this all the way up. and then we can count them. We think, can we get one more? Yeah, I think we can safely get one more. Oh. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8, 9, 10, 5, 26, 27, 28. 28. 28 is the magic number. He who does not use jack stand, become jack stand. Oh, this is so sketchy.
What do you mean it's so sketchy?
Let's let it down a little bit.
Daddy, my hope is when you let it down, it doesn't roll down the hill. Daddy, my hope is when you roll it down, it doesn't go rolling down the hill.
I hope it doesn't roll down the hill either, Everett.
And that would be bad because your car's in the way. Bam, bam, boost, boost. All smashed up. Collins.
Success! Okay, so after a little fumbling around, show you my setup. We're propping that steering shaft up with a large socket on this jack. And that's keeping it up against the shaft there. So that will give us something to push against when we're setting our stuff on top. Okay, put our top race on. Our first nut. There it goes. It's a really fine thread. Now I'm starting to wonder if those bearings had enough play in them that's what was causing the play in the steering. But I'm quite convinced now that this nut had loosened up, and that's what it allowed those bearing races to back away enough to where you had so much play in them. I don't have a spanner wrench for this, so we're gonna have to hammer and chisel it to tighten it. You guys know what the torque spec is with a hammer and chisel? Yeah, me neither. Alright, I want to show you before we go any further. Oh, can I hold the camera and do this at the same time? There's no more play in that from side to side, so whether it was the bearings or that top nut was loose, that was our solution for this. So let's finish slapping this back together. This guy should go back on next. I want to make sure that's straight to the front. That looks pretty straight. So when we put this on straight, we're not going to have crooked handlebars. That would suck to come back and have to do that again. Okay. That's straight. Let me double check that. It's straight down here. I think it's off to the side a little. Let's see if I can go one. See if I could just move it over one tooth. Okay, that's straight. And that's straight down on the bottom, so I'm happy with that. Put on our thrust bearing, also known as a washer. That's tightened down. Get a new cotter pin. Alright, got a new cotter pin. Actually, this one's quite long. Let's make sure it's the right size first, I suppose. Yeah, it'll fit. Just want to cut it down so we can get it in there. No, put that out. There. Next. All right. Handlebars back on. Oh boy. Do you remember where these tabs went? I think they went towards the inside. I guess I could just watch my own video, figure out where they go. I guess that is it. Oh, you know what? Look at, they're labeled L for left, and I'm sure the other one's got an R on it. See, if you just, this is like the Proverbs. The wise man keeps his mouth shut until you figure it out, I suppose. Let me get this close and just get it tightened down. I'm gonna adjust it a little bit.
Daddy, you can have your own rings back, see? Okay, I got these from the magnet tires, see?
Oh, are those precision bearings? You didn't mix those up, did you?
No. These are the bearings.
Bearings?
Yeah.
Let me test this out here. Look, there's no more play. I'm just kidding. We don't have the tie rods put down. Actually, this feels like a good angle. The customer can always adjust it differently if he wants to. I just want to make sure those cables do go underneath.
Daddy, where do you want me to put the O in there?
Alright, let's put this guy back on. I'm pretty sure my most used word in my YouTube videos is alright. That's alright. Slap that Honda label back on. Alright, let's there's the all rights again. Well, this seems like a good spot to stop the video so we can move on to the tie rods next, and then we'll probably have to adjust the toe on these front tires and get them all squared up. There's other issues with this quad. The customer doesn't know if he wants us to move forward with those things yet, but that's how we fix the bearings, tighten it up on this steering column. So thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out in the shop. If you enjoy it, consider subscribing, drop a like, and we'll see you on the next video.